And it was during his infamous pipe bomb in June of 2011 that CM Punk declared himself as the best wrestler in the world, a moniker that has followed Punk ever since. In both WWE and AEW, Punk has deemed himself the best in the world, and given his success, it's not hard to see why the 44-year-old star thinks that about himself. While speaking to Not Sam Wrestling though, CM Punk had to admit that his nickname was not an original idea, and revealed the actual origins of the phrase. He said, "I stole it from Bryan Danielson. Chris Jericho stole it from Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson was doing Best in the World in Ring of Honor, where we both come from. It wasn't meant to be hijacked by me or something. I said in a promo it is something I feel strongly about, and I'm the best wrestler in the world." Given the talent of Bryan Danielson, there's no shortage of fans who would consider the American Dragon the best in the world, and in WWE, Jericho dubbed himself the best in the world at what he does. Clearly, there's some stiff competition for the title of best in the world, but who do you believe deserves that lofty moniker? Give your choice in the comment section below. On next week's AEW Dynamite, the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite will face off in Blood and Guts, but right now, both teams are a member short. The Elite will be represented by Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page, with Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli being joined by Konosuke Takeshita, but fans will learn the final participants soon. On Twitter, Tony Khan revealed that the 5th participants for each team will be revealed on this Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite, with speculation mounting as to who it'll be. There have been rumors circulating that former New Japan Pro Wrestling star Kota Ibushi will join forces with his old ally Kenny Omega in a reunion of the popular Golden Lovers tag team. It has been teased that the final Elite team member will be someone outside of AEW and outside of the US, and whoever it is, fans won't have to be wondering for much longer. It seems clear that Ibushi will be the final member of Team Elite, but who will be making up the numbers alongside the Blackpool Combat Club and Takeshita? Well, one name we don't expect it to be is CM Punk, but that's not for a lack of trying by the man himself. Fightful reports that Punk did pitch himself for the match, presumably as part of Team BCC, and while it's unclear how serious he was, the idea was quickly turned down. It's certainly notable that Punk pitched himself, as the whole reason for him being the top star on Collision is that it keeps him away from the Elite, as the two sides are yet to make amends over All Out. This isn't the first time Punk has tried to work with the Elite, but was told last time that it wasn't happening, despite the old-school mindset that wrestlers with issues should work together to make money. CM Punk versus the Elite has been the hottest angle to not play out on TV ever since last September, and while many fans want to see it, it's easy to see why Tony Khan is hesitant. After all the money in the world won't do Tony Khan any good if forcing the Elite to work with Punk pushes them out the door, especially with their deals expiring next year and WWE showing interest. Some have argued that it's just a matter of time before the Punk Elite situation explodes anyway, and one source said in response to Punk wanting in Blood and Guts that neither team would want him. It was reported by PW Torch in March that Jon Moxley and Punk weren't on the same page, but Fightful reports that Mox was not the one who opposed the idea of adding Punk. In fact, Punk's pitch for Blood and Guts only came within the last week, at which point plans were in place for the final member of Team BCC, and Tony Khan ditching plans to go with whatever Punk wanted would hardly have been a good look. While Bryan Danielson would have been the 5th man prior to his injury, the belief now is that Chris Jericho will be the 5th man after Don Callis invited him into his family, which earned a maybe by the inaugural AEW World Champion. While Punk won't be in Blood and Guts, he will remain a fixture on AEW Collision and could in fact soon be crowned the top champion of the new show. Upon his return to AEW on the debut Collision, Punk showcased the AEW World title he won it All Out and said he'll hold on to the title until somebody is able to pin or submit him. It turns out that Andrade El Idolo hopes to do just that, as in a post on social media, Andrade spoke about Collision having our own championship that CM Punk never lost. It appears that Andrade believes Punk's title should be recognized as the official world title of Collision, but of course that decision will have to come from Tony Khan. Right now, AEW has plenty of titles across its shows, but do you think that Punk's title should be recognized as the newest piece of gold? And what do you make of him wanting in Blood and Guts? Let us know in the comments. It wasn't long after Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland joined AEW in 2022 that they captured the World Tag Team titles, but their reign was ended months later by the Acclaimed. The pair quickly turned on each other, with Strickland laying out Lee with a cement block-assisted double stomp, and now, 10 months after their title loss, a singles match is in the works. On last week's Dynamite, the pair reunited as part of the Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament, but failed to advance, and now the two will go at it one-on-one. Fightful Select reports that plans are now in place to finally have a singles match between Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee at some point, but there's no word on when that'll be. Despite having crossed paths in battle royals and tag team matches, the two have never faced each other in a one-on-one encounter, but before this, Strickland will face Nick Wayne on this week's Dynamite. Strickland will likely involve his mogul affiliates in his match with Lee whenever it takes place, and expect things to get physical when these two former tag team champions finally lock horns. At Double or Nothing, Jamie Hayter walked into the event with an injury, which explained why her Women's World title loss to Toni Storm was so quick. Since then, we've not seen Hayter on TV, and Fightful Select reports that in addition to not being on TV, Hayter hasn't been backstage at any AEW events. Despite this setback, Hayter recently shared a poster for All In, with many taking it as a sign she'll be healed in time for the event, but for now, the British star is missing from AEW shows. Years before her debut at the 2018 Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey was proving her toughness in the UFC and quickly became arguably the biggest name ever in women's combat sports. In 2012, Rousey captured the bantamweight title with a victory over Miesha Tate, and the baddest woman on the planet was able to hold her own shortly after in a fight outside the cage. In a recent interview with ESPN, Rousey shared an incident from her past where she found herself fending off a group of men at a movie theater as these men were becoming aggressive. Using her skills, Rousey defended herself against the men and, in her own words, used her fighting abilities to handily beat down the men. The men, whose security footage proved instigated the confrontation, weren't so tough when they filed a lawsuit against Rousey, claiming that her self-defense had been excessively aggressive. The situation got to the point where the state of Oklahoma, where the incident took place, threatened to ban all combat sports including wrestling, but didn't follow through with the threat. Instead, Rousey received no punishment for defending herself and has gone on to have an incredible career, and we imagine these men will think twice the next time they think of harassing her at a movie theater. Over to Raw now, which saw an appearance by Logan Paul, who has perfected being an unbearable heel to wrestling fans, but he was in for a huge surprise during the show. On Raw, Paul confronted Ricochet as the pair had quite the malfunction during the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, and for all of Paul's talk on the mic, Ricochet had the last word. The former Intercontinental Champion capped off the segment with a flip to the outside, leaving the Maverick shocked, and the pair are expected to face off at SummerSlam next month. This flip, which saw Ricochet land perfectly on his feet, was actually first used during his NXT feud with Velveteen Dream, but unsurprisingly, WWE didn't reference the controversial ex-star on Raw. While Ricochet has honed his high-flying skills for years, Logan Paul has proved he has skills of his own in his 6 matches with WWE, and a match between the two should be nothing short of incredible. With just a few weeks to go before SummerSlam, expect things to ramp up pretty quickly between these two on Raw before the big showdown goes down at the biggest party of the summer. In January, Stephanie McMahon resigned from all of her roles in WWE after decades in various roles with the company, and it appears the former chairwoman is enjoying her free time. On social media, a photo of Stephanie and Triple H during a date night emerged, and it's clear that Steph is having some fun taking a break from the busy world of WWE. And we're ending with the Burning Hammer, one of the most dangerous moves in wrestling, but some wrestlers still feel they can pull off the move. On Twitter this week, footage from an indie event of a Burning Hammer went viral, especially as the recipient's neck landed awkwardly in the ring. This caught the attention of Dewey Foley, the son of Mick, who tweeted that if you're going to attempt murder, it should be the finish of the match. This wasn't the finish of the match, as the recipient kicked out following the move, and when you've got the son of the hardcore legend calling you out, it might be time to reflect on using the Burning Hammer.